Welcome. My name is Dominic. I'm a mindfulness teacher. This short meditation will give you an experience of the practice of mindfulness. And I'll begin and end with the sound of a bell. So very often when we practice formal mindfulness like this, it's a good idea to close the eyes. However, it's also possible to have them open and to keep the gaze unfocused or to drop the attention towards the table or the floor in front of you, for example. So I'm going to close my own eyes now. If you're new to the practice of mindfulness, it's useful to know that the words I'm using are simply an invitation to practice. There's no sense in which you have to do what I say. And if for any reason you find yourself becoming unsettled as a result of this focus on inner awareness, it's possible to open the eyes and to connect with objects in the room around you, looking at them, noticing their color, their shape, perhaps what they're used for. It's also possible to make physical contact by touching something like the chair or some reassuring surface like a blanket. You might even have a pet cat handy. And of course you also have the choice to completely switch off this video recording if you find it unhelpful in any way. And you can always revisit it another time. So we begin by paying some attention to how the body is in the sitting position. Of course, it's perfectly okay to lie on a bed or on the floor if you prefer, or to even stand. But for the most part, these instructions will center around sitting on a chair. And of course, if you're familiar with it, you might like to sit on a meditation stool or a cushion. So as we're opening to the possibility of stillness and a sense of soothing or relaxation, we prepare the body so that the mind can come to rest in the stillness of the body. So it's a good idea to sit tall, the spine straight if possible, with the head and neck in line with the spine. It's also a really good idea to have the feet uncrossed and touching the floor. However, if you're sitting on a meditation stool, if the legs are crossed in the lotus or semi-lotus posture, that's absolutely fine. In fact, it's the optimum. So once we've settled ourselves into a posture that supports this exercise in being still, this exercise in listening to the body and the mind, just having a sense of the whole body sitting here. The body in a balanced posture, which is an invitation for the mind to also come into balance. And it's a good idea now to have a broad sense of the whole body from the top of the head to the soles of the feet. And it may be that as you tune into the body that there's some awareness of perhaps different sensations such as a tightness or a sense of energy flowing in the body, or perhaps there's a little bit of anxiety or worry present somewhere. There may be tiredness in different places in the body, or discomfort, or even pain. And the practice of mindfulness allows ourselves to be with all of our experience, the pleasant, perhaps the unpleasant, or those neutral experiences where we maybe zone out at times. And two particular attitudes that we bring to this practice of sitting right now. The first is that of curiosity. So curiosity is a little bit like the fuel that you put into your car to make it go. Without curiosity, it's difficult for awareness to really emerge. A lot of things just pass below the radar. So this curiosity also allows us to lean into whatever is present for us. We approach whatever is present for us as opposed to turning away from or zoning out or avoiding. Of course, leaning in and being curious about things that are unsettling is not always an easy thing to do. And can even make us feel somewhat unhappy about our situation. So another very important attitude that goes along with curiosity is that of kindness. And this kindness is a very deliberate act, a particular way of relating to oneself and to one's experience. So with curiosity, we shine a bright light on inner awareness, what's really going on inside of us. And we need to also bring the light of kindness to that awareness. And how does that play out in the body and in the mind? When we bring kindness to our experience, we find a great acceptance, a great allowing for whatever is present. And a letting go of any judgments that may be emerging in the mind, such as, this shouldn't be happening to me, or some sense of not liking ourselves, or blaming ourselves, being self-critical. So we apply curiosity to our experience so that we really notice. And we bring kindness to our experience to soften into it and to allow it to be as it is. We let go of any need for fixing, any goal setting. And we just trust that this mindful practice of curiosity and kindness will give us some increased space where we can really see how things are. And if we need to take action later on, it will come from a wise place within ourselves. Of course, as we sit like this, it's very common for the mind to become distracted and to wander off into all kinds of thoughts about the past, about the future, perhaps pleasant or unpleasant, fantasies perhaps. And so it's easy to quickly lose touch with how it is in the body. And instead of having thoughts, it's like the thoughts have us. We're prey to various kinds of storylines, various kinds of soap operas that are just playing out in the mind. So the experience of meditators down the ages is to choose something for the mind to focus on, like an anchor for a ship, to stabilize it. And the most commonly chosen anchor is to focus on breath sensations. And you might ask why? And this is simply because the breath is always with us. breath acts as a bridge between sensations in the body, because we can feel the breath, but also links us to the activity of the mind. Whatever mental or emotional state we are in, it shows up in the quality of the breath. And unlike certain kinds of meditative practice where there is a deliberate attempt to change the way we breathe, and there may be very good reasons for doing that within certain traditions, within this particular mindfulness practice, the invitation now is to focus on the breath without trying to breathe in any particular kind of way. And it may be that you might sense that I don't know where my breath is, I can't find it properly. This is not an uncommon reaction. So some guidance here might be of help. So you might, for example, notice that you can feel some cool air coming in at the tip of the nostrils. And then as you breathe out, either through the nose or the mouth, you might notice that the breath is a little bit warmer. You might even be able to notice the breath reaching the back of the throat. Or it could be possible also to notice the breath in the abdomen, in the belly. So that as you breathe in, you may have a sense that the abdomen is expanding like a balloon. And as you breathe out, it's moving back towards the spine. You may also find evidence of the breath in the movement of the chest. And as you really focus in on how the breath impacts on the body, you might even detect it in the shoulders or in the upper back. But right now, honoring whatever your experience of the breath is. So just staying in this silence for a few moments to see how we get on with this following of the inflow and the outflow of the breath. And it may be that for some of you right now, you may have noticed that the mind very quickly wanders off. A little bit like a puppy that you're trying to train to walk by your side. You're in the park and off it goes, excitedly, being distracted by all kinds of new sensations, new smells, new sounds. And so training the mind to focus on the breath is a little bit like training a puppy. We don't berate ourselves when the mind wanders off because, after all, this is what minds tend to do. So mindfulness is not necessarily this one-pointed focus of attention where we're never distracted. The real training is noticing when the mind wanders and gently but firmly bringing it back to the breath or to whatever anchor we've chosen as a focus for attention. And we can add another support to allow us to be with the breath, which is to add counting. So that every time you breathe in, you say in your mind 1. And as you breathe out, you say 1. And on the next in-breath, saying 2. And on the out-breath, saying 2. And of course, on the next in-breath, saying 3, and so on. Until you reach the number 10. And then starting again at 1. And if you forget what number you should be at, always coming back to start at 1. Let's try that for a short while. Or if you prefer, just focusing on the breath without counting. And if you like, letting go now of the counting and the particular focus on the breath. So just being here with the sense of the whole body sitting tall in an open posture. Allowing the full weight of the body to be experienced as it makes contact with whatever you're sitting on. Sometimes when we do a practice like this, there's a tendency to try too hard. And so we build tension in the body. And this often shows up in the facial muscles. Just noticing how the muscles in the forehead are like right now. Sensing any tendency to have them furrowed or knotted. And allowing them to be loose as you breathe out, if that's possible for you. Sometimes tension gathers around the muscles around the mouth. So just seeing if that's true for you. And one way to allow the muscles in this part of the body to really relax is to hold the idea of having a half smile on the face. It's not a smile for the camera or for anybody else. It's not even a smile that says that I'm happy particularly. It's just a way of nudging the body and the mind to a sense of just trusting in this moment by moment experience. So if it feels okay for you right now, maybe just playing with the idea of allowing a half smile to appear on the face. Or to hold that sense of a smile in the heart or chest area. And just being curious about any effect having a little smile on the face has on not only the body, but also the mind in terms of the mood. And so as we come close to the end of this meditation, holding in a very gentle, broad awareness, the sense of the body being supported by the floor and the chair or whatever you're sitting on or resting upon. Having a sense also of the flow of the breath. Perhaps noticing that the breath can have a soothing quality for both body and mind. And as we sit with this breathing body that is in balance, registering also that half smile, which may start on the face, but perhaps also goes deeper into the chest, into the heart, into the emotional seat. And as we get ready to move out of this mindfulness practice, perhaps thanking yourself or showing some form of appreciation towards yourself for having the wisdom, for having the courage to show up to yourself in this very disciplined but heartful way. And then opening the eyes if you haven't already done so. So thank you for looking at this video, and perhaps you may find other resources as well on this website that can support you at this time. Take care. Look after yourselves.